Hey everyone, welcome back to Fantastic Microbes and Where to Find Them. My son's asleep, so I'm whispering, but right now we are looking for face mites on my face, and the way that we are collecting these is with just regular tape, and I'm putting it on my nose, which is typically where most of the oil kind of collects on my face, at least, and some on my eyebrow, and just one on my cheek here. Now, these face mites that I'm looking for, they typically tend to come out when it is dark, so I'm going to go sit in a dark place for about 30 minutes and then bring this under the microscope, and we're going to see if we can find anything. So this is round one. Let's see what happens. Alright, so this is the first sample that we're going to look at, and it is from the bridge of my nose. Now, I got the idea for mounting it like this from the YouTube channel Microbe Hunter, who has a whole episode on looking at face mites himself. So he recommends putting it on a glass slide like this with the tape sticky side upwards. That way we don't squish any of the mites themselves. So that is what I did here, and I put some other tape on the sides. So let's go ahead and see what we can find. Okay, so this is our first view here, and we're mostly going to be seeing some, little bits of dander and debris and skin cells, and maybe a couple little hairs here and there. So I figure while we are looking for our first face mite, I should give you guys a little bit of background as to what these are. So these are Demodex face mites that we're looking for. There are actually two species that live on human faces. There is Demodex follicularis and Demodex brevis. And the first one lives more in the eyelashes or like eyelids, and then the latter tends to live more in other oily areas of the skin. While there are two species that tend to live on humans, there are plenty of other species that live on other animals, and there is even one that lives on the faces of dogs. And another cool thing to note is that these are some of the smallest multicellular creatures on the face of the Earth. So I don't know if you guys have heard of tardigrades, but these are basically in the same realm as tardigrades. Very, very small. There are some single-celled organisms like stentors that are much larger than these mites, which is really interesting to think about. Now, one question that many of you may have is, are these things harmful to me? Well, the answer is usually not. These creatures have what is called a commensal relationship with humans, meaning that they will benefit from living on us, while we usually receive no benefit or harm. Now, there are some cases where they tend to overpopulate and can cause severe reactions in people's eyes and skin, where you might need to see like a dermatologist or an eye doctor to get them taken care of. So there are possible ways to remove them and, get rid of them if you need. But for most cases, as is, with 99% of humans that have them, you probably don't need to remove them from your face. Okay, so far I've spent 14 minutes looking at the bridge of my nose, and I have seen very little, but I think this might be a piece of one. You can see it sitting on this little hair here. It looks like there might be some arms, but it might be detached from something. So just recording this just in case I don't find anything else. Hey, I gotta pause real quick. This is Jordan coming from the future a couple days after recording this, and I learned through some research that mites will go through a molting process as they reach adulthood. So what we're probably going to be seeing a lot of in this video is a lot of molts that are left behind. So with that said, let's go ahead and unpause the video. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we have our first official Demodex face mite. So let's go ahead and zoom on in. So this is at 40 times magnification, and I'll have a comparison. I'll show you like a strand of hair with that in just a second. But here we are at 100 times magnification, and it is a little tricky to see, but you can see it is definitely still alive. There are some things moving that might be its arms or its mouth, and yeah, pretty much the creepiest thing that I've ever experienced in my life. So this is really small. I'm going to try to get some different footage with this. 1 second here. Alright, here I've switched over to dark field. So you can see it's a little bit clearer. It kind of stands out from the tape a little bit more. I'm just kind of like rocking the focus back and forth a little bit. You can see it has segments. It's got, it's moving like the inside of its body. Something's going on. This is very, very cool. Okay. Let's zoom in a little bit more, maybe. The thing I'm worried about is that this is tape, and I don't want to get tape residue on my objective lens. But you guys are special, so let's go ahead and just give it a try. Okay, this is the most zoomed up I can get, and it is kind of tricky. This is my, what is this? 400 times zoomed, and as you can see, it's a little tricky to get the whole thing in focus. This one is kind of slightly on its side, which kind of stinks, but it does have some things moving around, which is very, very cool. Again, I'm going to try to adjust some things and see if we can make this a little bit more visible here. So I've adjusted the exposure a little bit, and again, it's still kind of blurry. This thing is really small and kind of on an angle with the tape. But here are some legs. If you wanted to see some legs, that's kind of cool. Let me see if I can't get it. Yeah, here it's a little bit darker, so there's more contrast, so you can kind of see the legs a little bit clearer. More clearly. And then there's the mouth area, zooming in through to the other side. Okay, very, very cool. Oh, that's awesome and disgusting. Wow. Now for reference, here is a eyebrow of mine at 40 times magnification, and then here it is at 100 times, or the middle magnification that you were just looking at, and then we're going to zoom to 400 times magnification, which is the final view that we had of that mite. Now, I want to show you guys the rest of the samples that I collected, but I wanted to just give you the heads up that that was the only living mite I found on my entire face. Now, I had 4 pieces of tape at the beginning of the episode, but I ended up actually putting on 8 different pieces of tape, and it took me about 4 hours to go through in like really excruciating detail to try to find a single other living mite, which was kind of disappointing because I found the very first one about 15 minutes in, and then the rest of the time there was nothing. But I did find what I believe to be some other molts and carcasses left behind. So let's go ahead and take a look at those. This is one of those things where I'm like, is this a face mite in the middle? Is it not? It's kind of like after looking at this stuff, it's been about 45 minutes now, and everything is starting to look like a face mite, but nothing really is. Okay, I'm at the corner of my nose. I think this might be one. This one is not moving. We're looking right at the center of the screen here. Looks like you can see most of the tail and maybe the feet on the left. If we zoom in, you can kind of see. Here, let me get out of dark field real quick. Oh, no, you can't see anything. Maybe not. Oh, it's too hard to tell. I think I found another one, and it might be a deceased female. I don't even know how these things work, but it has that similar rectangular shape. I think I see some legs on the left, and then the tail, but then it has these 2 orbs in the middle that I presume to be eggs, but I don't know how these things reproduce, so we'll do some homework and we'll find out. Another quick pause here. I did some homework afterward and found out that mites typically lay eggs externally in the pores of your face, and then they are hatched that way. And the eggs also are a little bit more lemon-shaped than these perfect round things, so I don't know. Maybe these are, maybe these aren't. Okay, this one is on my cheek. I think this is a dead one. It looks like there's a tail, and it's kind of wide. And when I zoom in, this is 100 times, and we scroll the zoom, you can kind of see the feet in the middle. There's a couple of feet clumped together. And then there's one foot right here where the zoom is right there that's kind of like poking out, down bottom left, southwest. And then the rest of it, I think, is just buried in the tape. So, but it does look like these little feet things have claws on them. I'm guessing, again, this looks like the tail, so maybe. Alright, so let's take a look at the numbers and summarize things real quick. So after 4 hours of searching across 8 different slides with 8 pieces of tape from my face, I was only able to find 1 living face mite. However, I was also able to find a bunch of other molts lying around. So it's definitely possible that there are more living on my face that just didn't come out with the tape. So I definitely think this was an enlightening episode, but something that I probably will try to erase from my memory as quickly as possible. I want to give a big shout out to my patrons who help keep this channel alive. If it weren't for you guys, I probably wouldn't be here. If you guys like this, please subscribe and, check out some other episodes, because there's plenty more under the microscope to see. Thanks for watching.